This is a CBC podcast.
Well, the world has certainly changed when it comes to the job search. Employers used to require meeting a candidate face-to-face. This requirement, though, has changed significantly in light of COVID. Now, many employers are conducting their entire recruitment process online. So just when you thought you had it all figured out as a candidate, now you have to navigate the virtual interview. So what can a candidate do to stand out in a virtual interview? How is an online interview different from face-to-face? That's what we'll explore today with St. John-based career educator Shauna Cole. Good afternoon, Shauna.
Good afternoon.
Well, things have changed so much when it comes to the job search in the past year. The way people work is drastically different, and it sounds like the way people look for work is drastically different too. So when it comes to the interview process, what changes have happened in the past year?
Traditionally, employers were looking to meet their candidates face-to-face, right? And now there's been a sudden need to bring many of the interviews online. So most professionals are working from home, and now they've got to figure out how to interview from home too, right? So even the more traditional employers who might have been accustomed to having really rigorous face-to-face processes have been sort of forced into this online approach. And all of this is so new for both employers and job seekers. So if you're a job seeker, you can probably expect there might be some hiccups in the overall process because we're still figuring it out. So as a job seeker, it's important to stay flexible and patient. And I know you're like, I'm looking for a job. It's not that easy to kind of be chill about it.
Yeah.
But really demonstrating that flexibility and patience can go a really, really long way in terms of impressing that employer. So the changes of the past year bring a huge amount of opportunity as well, because we're seeing a growth in terms of employers looking for remote workers, and now job seekers have new opportunities because there are chances to work, remotely for different companies. So gone are the days when you have to commute to the office to go to the interview or to work for that matter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you can work at home and your job can be really located anywhere. So job interview preparations can be really stressful. What extra steps should a candidate be adding to their to-do list when it comes to getting the technology ready for a virtual interview?
Yeah, I mean, the virtual interview, I think often the technology piece is really is really a stressor for job seekers, because like I said, it's new for a lot of people. There are three things that a job seeker can do technology-wise to get ready for a successful virtual interview. And good news, like they're all very, very easy to do, okay?
Okay.
So easy. I'm going to walk you through. Tip number one is to test the technology in advance. So you're probably going to get a link to an online meeting, or you're going online to do the interview. You're going to get it likely before the day of the interview. And so test it out. Walk through all the details the day before and make sure everything is working. You'd hate to be sort of like those couple of minutes before the interview and then you click on the dreaded link and it needs a password and you don't know where it is, or you have to download software.
Right.
Aren't you just like stressed as I'm even explaining that? Like, oh
yes.
gosh, I've got to get the software. Doing it the day before at least allows you that flexibility to get all of those details organized. Read the special instructions if there are any from the recruiter. I just remember going into this important meeting myself. It was like the early remote days, and it required this massive download. I was meeting with a financial institution, and I was not ready for it. It shocked me, and I don't want that to happen to you as well. You should also make sure to test your audio in advance. If you do have headphones or something, use them, right? Crisp audio is going to add to your overall perceived quality and credibility. You also want to do a test to make sure that your camera is working okay. And if you're anything like me, you might have, 12 tabs open at any given time. Just close them all down so you're focused, not distracted, and nothing's popping up to remove you from your attention from the interview situation. The second thing you want to do is make sure to set up your environment in advance. some video applications will have this option to put a background in. They can be really cool sometimes, but, have you been in a meeting where they do like weird things when people move? It can be kind of distracting, right? So if you're a hand talker or you're going to move around, I totally skip it. In any case, if you're not going to do a background from the video application, just make sure that the background in your video is looking clean and crisp. I get it. I have 2 kids. Sometimes the house gets messy. Just do that one little area and you're going to look great, okay?
Okay.
Don't worry about doing the whole room. I remember this meeting very, very clearly. I once met this guy and he had a bookshelf behind him and there were like 20 bobbleheads on this bookshelf. I could no more look at this guy I was supposed to be having this professional meeting with. I was looking at the Star Wars bobbleheads behind him, just having a good time. Don't be that guy. I mean, the bobbleheads are cool, but that's probably not what you want to put forth in an interview, right?
Right.
And then, likewise, just make sure you've got a quiet space. If at all possible, arrange any support that you need well in advance so you can focus. I can also speak firsthand to the fact of trying to do a phone call with those kids around, even if it's just going to be quick, let alone trying to do a video with the kids around is really, really challenging. So if you can at all, call on your support network well in advance. You don't have that extra stress. Make sure the recruiter can see you. So you want to make sure that you have some nice lighting for your interview. The easiest way to do that is either to sit pretty close in front of a window or to purchase something like a ring light, which can be really inexpensive as well. You probably even have something that you can rig up from your house with lamps that you already have. So just do it in advance. That's the key thing. And then the third thing that you need to focus on is really around engagement in the conversation. So just make sure that your webcam is kind of at eye level. A lot of times, people will, stare down kind of into their camera and it looks a little bit weird, or they stare up and that looks kind of weird too. So make sure your webcam is eye level. Find stuff around your house to figure out how to do this. I use a stack of textbooks, so you might have some books you can use to do it, right?
Right.
It's just a great way to show and keep on top of eye contact during the interview.
Are there actual advantages to participating in a virtual interview versus a face-to-face interview, from the job seeker's perspective?
Yeah, so besides the obvious ones, you can wear your slippers instead of heels, which, side note, I put mine on for the first time in a year last week and it was not good. Anyways, the job seeker, you could actually have a lot more control. In a face-to-face interview, it can feel nerve-wracking just sort of going into this new environment that's unfamiliar, right? Sometimes there's anxiety that goes along with that. You might be feeling anxiety over things like parking. You might be feeling anxiety over the fact, am I going to be late? Where am I going? All those sorts of details. Obviously, you don't have any of that stress in a virtual interview. In fact, job seekers, 45% of job seekers cite not having to travel to a physical location as a real bonus to the virtual interview. And on top of that, 37% of job seekers say they actually feel less intimidated during remote interviews. So those are really, really, really great news for a job seeker. So you're seeing a little bit of decrease in anxiety levels over the whole interview process as a result of the move to remote.
That's good news, but is a virtual interview really that different from a face-to-face interview?
I think the one thing that's really, really key to success in either environment, whether it's virtual or face-to-face, is preparedness. So you're going to expect sort of a similar format with the questions and all those things are going to be really, really similar. And likewise, the preparedness is really, really going to matter in either case. So key things that you need to know, no matter how you're interviewing, right? No matter the medium, you want to be familiar with the job you're interviewing for. You want to be able to clearly articulate your career goals because you want to rest assured, the hiring manager is probably going to ask you about that. You want to know the company. You want to prepare answers to common interview questions. You want to be aware of your body language, and you want to practice before you actually end up in the interview situation.
Thanks so much, Shauna. Appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Shauna Cole is a career educator based in St. John. She serves up the latest career and job search advice on her YouTube channel, Career Interrupted, as well as LinkedIn. She's been joining us Tuesdays through the month of September to talk about searching for work in the current climate, whether that's a necessity for you right now or whether you're looking at making a career change. Next week, we will talk about your personal brand. And yes, you do have one, even if you don't want one. So you might as well control it, is going to be her point next week. So we'll talk about that.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.